Honey, come sit down for this one. Because what I'm about to tell you, it shook my soul in ways I still can't explain. I'm an ordinary mother, an ordinary wife, living in a quiet neighborhood where everybody smiles at each other but keeps their own secrets. And trust me, every house on every street got secrets. But I never thought, never, that the darkest secret on my street would be inside my own home. This is the story of the nights I woke up alone, the footsteps I heard down the hallway, and the moment I realized my husband, the man I trusted with my life, was sneaking into our daughter's room. Every single night. And when I installed that hidden camera, what I found out, it shook me to my bones. So lean in. Because this story, it don't start with a scream. It starts with a whisper. A whisper in the dark. My name is Danielle, but folks just call me Danny. I'm 37, married for almost 12 years to a man named Marcus, a calm, quiet man who rarely raised his voice and never started fights. We had one child, our 8-year-old daughter Leela, the light of my whole world. Now, let me tell you something. My daughter was my miracle. Doctors told me I couldn't have kids. And when Leela came along, I promised God I'd protect that child with everything I had. For most of our marriage, Marcus was a good father. Not perfect, no man is. But he tucked Leela in at night, packed her lunch every morning, and knew every cartoon theme song better than I did. So imagine my shock when things slowly, subtly, started changing. It started 3 months ago. At first, it was small things. I'd lie in bed and feel Marcus get up quietly. I'd hear his feet on the hardwood floor. Soft, careful, slow. Like he didn't want me to know he was leaving the room. The first night I thought, probably going to the bathroom. But then it became every night. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3:15 a.m. Sometimes I woke up to the sound of his footsteps. Sometimes I'd reach out and feel the cold side of the bed, meaning he'd been gone a while. One night I whispered, "Marcus, where you going?" And he pretended not to hear me. Just kept walking out of the room like a ghost. But the night that really shook me, I heard something else. A soft voice. Low. Comforting. Coming from down the hallway. It sounded like Marcus. Talking to someone. I froze. My heart was beating so loud, I swear it shook the whole bed. Then I heard it, another sound. A child's soft whimper. Leela. I threw the sheets off and ran to her door. But the second I reached the hallway, the voices stopped. Silence. Total silence. I put my ear to the door, nothing. When I opened it slowly, the room was dark. Marcus wasn't there. Leela was sleeping peacefully. I whispered to myself. Something wasn't right. A mother always knows. Marcus was never secretive with his phone. Never. But suddenly, he started taking it to the bathroom, sleeping with it under the pillow, setting it face down on the table. One morning, he was in the shower when a message popped up on his screen. Not the words, just a preview. But when I tell you my stomach dropped, it said, "Did you talk to her? Did she notice yet?" I stared at that phone so hard I thought it would burst into flames. Talk to WHO. Notice what? When Marcus came out of the bathroom, he snatched the phone fast, too fast. "No see today," he joked. But the way his eyes didn't match the joke gave me chills. Something was wrong. My daughter was a sunshine child. Laughing, singing, talking to herself while she played with dolls. But suddenly, she grew silent, nervous, jumping when someone touched her shoulder, waking up tired, not wanting to go to sleep at night. When I asked her what was wrong, she said, "Mommy, sometimes Daddy scares me." And it felt like my heart cracked right down the middle. I said, "What you mean, baby? What'd he do?" She just shook her head. "I can't tell." "Why not?" I didn't know. But the fear in her eyes, that told me everything I needed to know. Something was happening in that room at night. 2 weeks later, everything changed. I woke around 2 a.m. The house was dark, silent, but then, a soft cry. A child's cry. Leela. It was coming from her room. My heart went straight to my throat. I slipped out of bed. Marcus wasn't there. I walked into the hallway and saw a shadow move behind Leela's closed door. My blood turned cold. I don't remember breathing. I don't remember thinking. I just grabbed the doorknob and twisted it. But the door was locked. Locked from the inside. I pounded on it. "Marcus, open this door right now." Silence. Then footsteps. The lock clicked. Marcus opened the door a crack. Just a crack. His face was calm. Too calm. "What's wrong, Danny?" I tried to push past him, but he blocked the doorway with his body. "Why is this door locked?" I screamed. He sighed like I was overreacting. "Leela had a nightmare. I didn't want her waking you." That's all he said. I shoved past him anyway. My baby was sleeping, face wet with tears. Marcus put a hand on my shoulder. "Relax, everything is fine." But something in his eyes told me everything was not fine. The next morning, I couldn't eat. Couldn't think. Couldn't breathe right. Every time I looked at Marcus, my mind replayed that locked door. I knew I needed proof. Something real. Something he couldn't lie his way out of. So while Marcus went to work, I did something I never thought I would do. I went online. Bought a small hidden camera disguised as a smoke detector. Same-day delivery. It arrived that evening. And baby, my hands were shaking when I opened the box. "God," I whispered, "show me the truth. Whatever it is, show me." I told Marcus I was cleaning the house. Told Leela I was rearranging her room. But really, I installed the camera right above her closet, pointed directly at her bed. It blended right in, no lights, no sound. I tested it twice to make sure. Then I waited. That night, Marcus came home late. Said he was working overtime. Didn't kiss me goodnight. Didn't talk. He just lay there, awake, until he thought I was asleep. I was. Around 2:17 a.m. He slipped out of bed. Quiet. Careful. Like always. And I lay there in the dark, wide awake, praying that the camera battery wouldn't die. I waited until he returned to the room. Around 3:40 a.m. Then I pretended to turn over in my sleep. Marcus froze for a second, then got into bed. He smelled like cold air and the faint lavender scent of our daughter's room. The next morning, I waited for Marcus to leave. I waited for Leela to go to school. Then I locked myself in our bedroom, shut the blinds, and opened my laptop. My hands shook as I opened the camera app. I clicked play. The video loaded. I saw Leela sleeping peacefully at first. Then, at 2:17 a.m., the door opened. Marcus walked in. Baby, my heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my teeth. He closed the door behind him, sat on the edge of her bed, and then he leaned down and whispered something into her ear. Leela woke up slowly, confused. Marcus stroked her hair. Soft, slow, almost ritual-like. He wasn't angry. He wasn't violent. But he was scared, looking over his shoulder every few seconds. Then he did something that froze my blood. He reached under her bed and pulled out a small box. A box I had never seen in my life. He opened it. Leela started crying. And she said, "SHHH, don't tell Mommy, not yet." When I tell you, I felt my whole world collapse. I ain't lying. But the worst part, that wasn't the end of the video. Not even close. Take a deep breath before we pick this story back up. Because what I'm about to tell you, it's the kind of truth that shakes a mother to her core. The kind of truth that makes you question everything you ever believed about the person sleeping next to you. Let's continue. I stared at my laptop screen, frozen. My hands were ice cold, but the back of my neck was hot, like my body didn't know whether to panic or scream. Marcus, my husband, the man I trusted with my child, was sitting at the edge of Leela's bed, whispering to her in the dark, and opening a box he kept hidden under her bed. And that whisper, "Don't tell Mommy." Oh, that broke something inside me. I leaned closer to the screen, squinting. The camera angle wasn't perfect, but I could see inside the box enough to make out shapes. Small ones, colorful ones, some wrapped in tissue paper, some loose. Marcus lifted out a little object, something shiny. He held it in his hand, showed it to Leela. Then, and baby, this part made my stomach twist. Leela shook her head violently. "No, Daddy, no." Her little voice cracked through the silence of the footage. I pressed pause. My hand flew to my mouth. My baby was begging for something to stop. I wanted to jump through the screen and gather her up in my arms right then. But I pressed play again, because I needed the whole truth, however ugly it was. Marcus whispered something I couldn't hear. He put the shiny object back into the box, closed it, and slid it under the bed again. Then he tucked her in, kissed her forehead, and sat there for a long time, just watching her. Not lovingly, not protectively. Watching like a man who was scared she'd disappear if he blinked. Then at 3:40 a.m., he slipped out of the room. I sat back in my chair. My heart felt like it had been squeezed. "What are you doing to my daughter, Marcus?" My voice cracked into the empty room. But I wasn't done. No, baby, I needed to know everything. As soon as I picked Leela up from school, I checked her room again. I waited until she went to the bathroom. Then I knelt beside her bed. My heart was pounding so loud I felt dizzy. I lifted the blanket, reached under the bed. Nothing. I reached further. Still nothing. I crawled halfway under the bed. Dust on my clothes, hair hitting the floor. But there was no box. Gone. Vanished. My blood ran cold. Marcus had moved it. That meant he knew I might find it. Or worse, he knew someone else was watching him. That night, I decided Leela would sleep with me. I told her it was mommy-daughter night, but she just stared at the floor. Then she whispered, "Will Daddy be mad?" "Baby." My heart shattered. "No, sweet girl," I said softly. "Daddy won't be mad." She shook her head. "You don't know, Mommy." I held her tight. "What don't I know, baby?" She didn't answer. Instead, she asked the question that made my chest tighten. "Mommy, why does Daddy cry in my room?" My breath caught. Cry? Marcus was crying in her room. "When does he cry?" I asked carefully. She looked up at me with big, scared eyes. "At night, when he thinks I'm sleeping." I felt something cold wash over me. Why would Marcus cry in our daughter's room? Was he hurting? Hiding something? Scared of something? Nothing made sense anymore. Nothing. The next day, after Marcus left for work, I tore our bedroom apart looking for that box. I checked under the bed, behind the dresser, inside old boots, in jacket pockets. I opened drawers I hadn't touched in years. And baby. When I pulled out one old drawer from the back of the closet, something fell onto the carpet. A photo. A photo I didn't recognize at all. It was a picture of Marcus, much younger, holding a baby girl. Not our daughter. Someone else. The baby had a red hospital band around her ankle. The name on it. Eva Carter. Carter. Marcus's last name. I sank onto the floor. A baby I never heard of. A baby he never told me about. My breath started coming fast. My hands trembled. "Who is she, Marcus?" I whispered. "Who is this baby?" Why was he hiding her picture? Why now? Why at the same time he was sneaking into our daughter's room? My mind raced toward the darkest possibilities. Ones I never wanted to believe. That evening, Leela was coloring at the kitchen table. I sat beside her, still shaken from the photo. She drew a stick figure with long hair, holding hands with a smaller stick figure. "Who's that?" I asked gently. "That's me," she said, pointing at the small one. "And who's this?" I asked, pointing at the tall one. She looked up at me, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's my big sister, the one Daddy told me about." My blood went ice cold. "Sister," I whispered. "Baby, you don't have a big sister." "Yes, I do," she said sadly. "Daddy said she's gone, but she still comes to see me." Every hair on my arm stood straight up. "Comes to see you," I repeated slowly. Leela nodded. "She sits on my bed sometimes. She sings songs." "Daddy said I shouldn't tell you, because you'll be scared." "Baby." I nearly dropped the crayon in my hand. My throat went dry. My mind was spinning. What was going on in this house? I had to see more. I had to know the whole truth. That night, I pretended to fall asleep early. But inside, I was a storm. Fear, anger, confusion swirling so hard I felt sick. At 2:03 a.m., Marcus got up again. My heart jumped. I waited until I heard Leela's door creak open. Then I quietly reached for my laptop. The camera was still recording. I clicked the live feed. And that second night footage, it was even worse than the first. Marcus didn't whisper this time. He didn't move slow. He rushed into the room like a man terrified. He pulled the box. Yes, the same box. From a new hiding place behind her dresser. Open it fast. Inside were a small pink rattle, a silver bracelet with tiny engraved letters, a folded hospital blanket, a pacifier with dried cracks on the surface, a photo of the same baby girl from the picture I found. He held each item in his hands like they were made of glass. Then he sat on the floor. And your Auntie Carol ain't ashamed to say, I saw that man break. He buried his face into that little hospital blanket and sobbed. Not cried. Sobbed. His whole body shaking. Our daughter woke up, confused and scared. Daddy, please don't cry again, she whispered. Marcus reached for her hand. I'm sorry, baby, he choked. I'm so sorry. I never meant for her to be alone. I never meant for any of this. My skin tingled. My stomach twisted. Who was her? Eva. The baby from the photo. Why was he apologizing to Leela? What happened to that child? Then Marcus did something that made me cover my mouth in shock. He placed the hospital bracelet, Eva's bracelet, into Leela's tiny palm. He whispered, voice shaking. She looked just like you. Leela shook her head. I'm scared, Daddy. He hugged her. Tight. Desperate. I won't let anything happen to you, he whispered. Not like before. Before. What happened before? My heart dropped. Marcus rocked her gently. He looked terrified. Crazed. Haunted. This wasn't the behavior of a man hurting his child. This was the behavior of a man running from his own past. A past he never told me about. A past now crawling into my daughter's bedroom at night. The video continued. Marcus put everything back into the box. Closed it. But instead of putting it under the bed, he slid it into the back of Leela's closet. And then, this part made the breath leave my chest. He turned toward the camera. Not directly at it. Not like he saw it. But he turned in its direction with a look that chilled my bones. A look like he sensed something. Like he felt he was being watched. His eyes. They were wide. Wet from crying. Red like he hadn't slept in days. He whispered, I'm sorry. To no one. To everyone. To himself. Then he left the room. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I just lay there, holding my chest, whispering, Lord, what did this man do? Because now I knew. Marcus wasn't sneaking into Leela's room to hurt her. No. He was grieving. Haunted. Terrified. But of what? And who was the little girl named Eva? And why did my husband hide her from me? All right. Sit down, get comfortable, and hold my hand through this screen. Because this is the part of the story where the truth finally comes out. And it's heavier than anything we've touched so far. Let's finish this. I woke up the next morning with swollen eyes. I must have cried myself to sleep without even realizing it. Marcus sat across from me at the kitchen table, drinking his coffee like nothing happened. His eyes were tired but calm. Too calm. Like a man trying to pretend he wasn't falling apart piece by piece. "Morning," he said softly. I just stared at him. That was the moment I realized I didn't know my own husband at all. I didn't mention the camera. I didn't mention the box. I didn't say a word about what I saw. Not yet. Instead, I asked, "How did you sleep?" He froze. Just for a fraction of a second. Then he said, "Fine." And that was the second lie he'd told me in the last 24 hours. While I cooked breakfast, Leela sat at the counter drawing in her coloring book. I glanced over, and my breath hitched. Another drawing of the same little girl. The same one from yesterday. Same long hair, same bracelet. "Sweetie," I asked gently, "what's her name?" Leela whispered. Daddy said her name was Eva. My hands shook so hard, I had to set the spatula down. The truth was crawling out, piece by piece, through the mouth of a child who didn't even understand what she was saying. That night, after Leela fell asleep with her stuffed animals tucked around her, I stepped into our bedroom and closed the door silently behind me. Marcus was sitting at the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor, as if he knew what was coming. "Marcus," I said. He lifted his head slowly. "We need to talk." He swallowed hard. His fingers tightened together. Then he whispered, "Is it about the box?" My heart dropped. He knew. He knew I found the camera. He knew everything. I nodded slowly. "Yes, and it's about the little girl." "Eva." Marcus closed his eyes, like the name physically hurt him. He didn't deny her. He didn't pretend I was confused. He didn't lie. He just whispered, "I was hoping you'd never find out." And those words cut deep. He asked me to sit down. I didn't want to, but I did. And he began. "When I was 22, he said, voice shaking. "Before I met you, I had a girlfriend. She got pregnant." My chest tightened. "She had the baby early," he whispered. "A little girl. We named her Eva." I covered my mouth. My heart was pounding so loud, I could hear it in my ears. "She was born sick," he continued. "In the hospital for months. The doctors tried everything." His voice cracked. "She died when she was 6 months old." Oh. My heart shattered for him. He wiped his face. "I never told anyone, not my parents, not friends, not you. I buried her alone, planned everything alone. And I carried that box everywhere I moved." I whispered, "Why didn't you tell me, Marcus?" He shook his head. "Because I was scared you'd look at me differently. Because every time I think about her, I can't breathe." He was trembling now. She looked exactly like Leela. And suddenly, everything made sense. The secret visits. The crying. The whispered apologies. The gifts. The obsession with checking on Leela every night. He wasn't hurting our daughter. He was grieving another one. "Why tell Leela?" I whispered. "Why show her the bracelet, the rattle, the photos?" His eyes filled. "I didn't mean to. It started one night when she had a nightmare. I went to check on her. and she looked just like Eva did before she passed. His voice broke. I panicked, sweetheart. I held her, and I don't know what came over me. I started talking to her like she was Eva. I inhaled sharply. And after that night, I asked. He nodded. I couldn't stop. He covered his face. I know I messed up. I know I scared her. I know I scared you. And then he said the words that changed everything. I thought if I talked about Eva, maybe the pain would finally leave me. But this story wasn't done. Because the next day, after we talked, I took that box and opened it again. And I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Under the baby blanket, on the bracelet, were tiny engraved letters. E.C. Eva Carter. But on the back of the bracelet, something else was engraved. A date. A recent date. Just 2 months old. I frowned. My stomach tightened. Why would Eva's 6-month bracelet have a date from this year engraved on it? Why would a baby who died decades ago have anything updated recently? I marched to Marcus with the bracelet. Why is this date here? I demanded. He looked at me with confusion first, and then pure fear. That wasn't there before, he whispered. I didn't engrave anything. Goosebumps crawled across my skin. Marcus, who had this bracelet last. He swallowed hard. Then he whispered words that made my knees go weak. I left the box in Leela's room 2 months ago. And one morning, she told me her big sister took the bracelet out and fixed it. My breath caught. Marcus, Leela doesn't know how to engrave metal. His hands shook violently. His voice dropped to a whisper. I know. We stared at each other, both trembling. The air felt heavy. Cold. Are you saying someone else touched the bracelet? I whispered. He nodded, terrified. Someone who shouldn't even exist. A chill ran up my spine. The kind you can't explain. The kind you feel in your bones. Marcus whispered. Every night I checked Leela's room because I thought something was there. Something watching her. Something that wanted her. I felt the blood drain from my face. And what if that someone, he whispered, voice trembling, was Eva? I didn't know what to say. I still don't. Because some things in this world, you don't try to explain. You just protect your child, and pray over your home, and hold your family close. That's the truth of what happened in that home. A grieving father, a confused child, and a past that refused to stay buried. Sometimes the people we love the most carry wounds we never see, until they break right in front of us. If you want more stories like this one, more real-life chills and late-night truths, more sit down and take a breath moments, then hit that like button, follow the page, and stay right here with Auntie me. Because I've got so many more stories to tell you.